Hello and welcome to the Happy Picking Podcast. It is Richard here from Sheffield Banjo Lessons, and I want to say thank you for joining me today, because today we get the distinct pleasure and privilege to welcome a very special guest to the show. And this very special guest is a fantastic picker, and he's a wonderful tutor and a great personality. And this man is Jim Pankey. And Jim was incredibly gracious to share some of his time, and we could have a bit of a catch up, share some stories, have a look at the world of teaching and the world that Jim lives in, as well as his recent nomination for Mentor of the Year at the IBMA. And at the end of this, we also talk about Jim's upcoming trip to the UK, so check that out too. Now, if you are a regular follower of the show, I want to say thank you for your continued support. You guys are awesome. If you are new to the show, I just want to ask you to hit follow if you're on a streaming platform, or if you are on the YouTube page, hit subscribe and make sure that you can stay in contact with all of the future Happy Picking podcast episodes and get access to all of the YouTube lessons and content there too. So, without further ado, let's get into the conversation with the wonderful Jim Pankey. I have the privilege of welcoming today the one and only wonderful Jim Pankey. So thank you for joining us today, Jim. How are you?
I'm doing well, and this is an unexpected treat. I was glad when you reached out. I'm thinking, this will be fun, and the timing was perfect as well.
Thank you for making that work. The only 5 hours difference, so I think this has come about quite nicely.
Well, my son lived in Spain for 4 years, so I kind of used to the operating at a time difference. So
I see. Yeah, excellent. Well, thank you as well. Yeah. So, how is your summer going so far then?
It is hot.
Yes.
It's miserably hot. And I know y'all have had some heat, but it has been ridiculously hot. Past couple of days, a little rain, but it's still sweltering. Or even early in the morning. I got up one morning, I had stayed up at a friend's, and we got out to watch the sunrise on the lake and took the paddle boards out on the lake. And it was, we're out before sunrise and got back to so sunrise was like 6:15 a.m., something like that. And we got back to the house probably about 8 or 8:30, and it was already hot. It was,
Yes.
it's enough of outdoors. Let's go inside where there's some air conditioning. So so it's been a hot, but it's been busy too. I've had a lot of things going on. I taught at Steve Kaufman's acoustic camp, and I did a series of shows with Sarah Larson up in Baltimore area. Baltimore, she's a fiddle player. She had worked up the entirety of the Kenny Baker Plays Bill Monroe album, and we did several shows in celebration what would have been Kenny's 100th birthday, as well as the 50th anniversary of that Kenny Baker Plays Bill Monroe album. So I played banjo in that band that she put together for that. And we did, we played in Philadelphia area, Havertown, and then we played in Annapolis and Baltimore. And then I did a little one-off show with her all-girl band. So I was an all-girl boy for once for one set. And so I've been busy. And then I did a workshop for the Maryland Black Banjo Reclamation Project. So I did a workshop with them. They got a lot of beginner players, so I went up and did a little workshop with those folks. And so I've been busy doing that sort of thing. I've got a workshop coming up in Indianapolis on the 8th, and then I'm playing a festival on the 5th. So this coming Wednesday, I will be at the Hayden, Kentucky Osborne Brothers Hometown Bluegrass Festival. So I'll be doing that coming up really soon.
My word. Well, that does sound like a busy summer. So how are you fitting everything in?
Not very well. It's a struggle, but I have pushed really hard this year to do more workshops and be out and be seen other than on camera. So much of what I do, and I know you as well, is like we sit in an empty room in a quiet space and create content, and people, for me, the amusing thing is when I do meet people at workshops and such, they're like, "Oh, you're a lot bigger than I thought you would be." Yeah, because you're looking at me on your phone. I'm only this big on a screen. Yeah, and so it's been nice to do some workshops in person, and that way, it you know, it's good for the community because I mean, part of what we do, part of what I do, there is a community element to it that's, a lot of folks probably don't realize, and so meeting people and trying to maintain a connection and maybe build a connection that's more than just a parasocial connection
Mhm.
where you actually get to meet somebody and know somebody. And so that's part of this. This is kind of how, I'm trying to remain relevant in a growing uh, online environment. When I started, it wasn't that big, and now it's enormous.
It
And
is, but you're very,
competition is
very relevant to us, so don't worry.
competition is fierce,
Yeah.
and which is fun. Which I love. I like seeing. I like seeing the diversity of teachers and different folks online that are doing similar to what I do, but differently. And I mean, it's a big deal. It's a big deal. And but I've been at this kind of long enough to have watched not just grow, but grow exponentially.
Hmm.
Where, when I kind of started, I was, you know, just a couple of us out there doing this, and now I'm finding new people all the time that's doing
Yeah,
this successfully,
that's
which
yeah,
is,
absolutely, and that's the joy in one way. There's a lot of choice,
yeah.
and being able
Mhm.
to hear things explained in numerous different ways
Oh,
lets
sure.
people sort of picture certain elements in their mind, and then someone will do like a penny drop moment for them, just with a different phrasing, won't it, as well? So,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
yeah. Are you enjoying the mix of the sort of live playing again as well, rather than just the online content?
Yeah, I've played, so I'm in Chatsworth, Georgia, which is close to Chattanooga, Tennessee. So I have kept busy with various local bands and play, some like that, but never kind of as a solo act and go out and that sort of thing. And I still play with some local folks. I play with Lou Wamp. He's a world-class resonator guitar dobro player, and I play with him a few times a year. And then I started playing with August Bruce. She's a fiddler, has a group called Barefoot Nelly and Company, and I've been playing with them some. We've got several dates on the calendar. So the local music scene is Chattanooga is pretty good. So I've been able to have folks that I play with, but but adding the workshop element has been really nice. That's and it's also it's a different kind of way to interact with folks. So yeah, but I definitely have enjoyed being part of the playing more, getting
Yeah.
out and seeing more people, festivals and such.
Yeah, excellent. So it might be the Jim Pankey solo album is a little further down the road than right now, would you say?
Yeah, I don't see that happening anytime soon. I mean, I have ideas. I have people that I play with. I think, it would be fun to go in and do a duets album.
Mm.
I have a handful of fiddle players that I like to play music with. I have friends that play other things that would, it would be fun to do it would be fun to do an album, of just duets. But uh, I haven't decided that I've got that much money to throw at a project like that. Some friends
I
and I,
think, yeah.
we did an album about 10 years ago, Hamilton County Ramblers, and we, it's like people ask about it. It's like, yeah, we had about $15,000 that we just didn't know what to do with. So, and so yeah, so we just decided to spend it all on an album, which turned out great. But uh, yeah, that's all. I don't know. And I've always struggled with, do I have anything that I want to say musically,
Mhm.
to put out an album, which, like, and maybe a duet album in the not too distant future, but at the moment, I I don't, yeah, do I? That's a lot of money to produce an album
Indeed.
to do it right.
Need some,
I could do it.
yeah, yeah.
I could do a basement tape, or a home studio tape, but yeah, I would like to do something a little nicer than that if I'm going to put it down for perpetuity, you know.
Yeah. I do like the idea of Basement Banjo as an album title, though. So,
Sure, it
yeah.
could work. It could work. Could work.
Yeah. I saw something recently that you have been nominated for Mentor of the Year at the IBMA.
Yeah, that was.
Congratulations. And how did that
Well,
one come
thank you.
about?
Uh, so we can blame a few folks for that. James Key, he formerly with East Nash Grass. James, is a friend of
Mm.
mine, and so James, and I think he's the one that sent in the initial information, and then I think Mason Vi, formerly Old Crow Medicine Show, I think he sent in a letter as well, and so it's funny. I'm driving down the road and my phone starts lighting up. I'm getting messages, just all these messages. And what the heck is going on? It's like somebody needs me, and I'm looking, trying. I just got it on my little phone mount on the dash, so it would charge. And yeah, I'm looking, and one of them pops up, and it's just congratulations. And then another one pops up, congrats. What's going on? It's like. So I finally get to a place where I can stop. I was like, what do I do now? Looking through, and I get these notices. Oh, we just heard on XM radio that you were nominated for this award. I'm like, okay. Was not expecting that. And I thought, what a fine way to find out that you've been nominated for something.
Yeah.
I just just in a roundabout way. No email from IBMA, nothing like that. You just find out, somebody says, "Oh, by the way, did you know that you were nominated for this?" And it's like, "Oh, great." And so I suspected James would have had something to do with it. So I did reach out to him. I said, "Hey, what's going on here?" And so yeah, it was so that came about, and it's truly is an honor that the committee that goes through all of those uh, what they call momentum award nominations that thought that I should be on that list. So kind of cool. I don't know. I mean, I teach online and I do interact with a lot of people, and I like if somebody reaches out to me in earnest, I mean, truly with questions and such, I do try to help folks out and beyond just pointing them to another video, unless I can just point them to another video and say, I've already covered that. Here, go look at
Yeah.
this. But people ask me all kind of questions. So, but do I see myself as a traditional type of mentor? I don't think so. But I mean, I know there are people that I have mentored, unfortunately for them, maybe, but I mean, there's a handful of folks out there. So in some ways, and then, where else does someone like me or you, where do we fall? I mean, in a lot of ways, I don't, I I'm just a guy that shows people how to play the banjo. I'm not teaching you how to live your life. I have people in my, I have people that I look back across my life that I felt like were mentors to me. Uh, and they were definitely more of a broad kind of area, but I guess we have mentoring in small categories like bluegrass too. So maybe I fit there, but it's I don't know. Yeah, one, it was a surprise. I knew that that award existed. I knew it was out there, and the other folks that are nominated for it are surely worthy of that award. And it's just, I don't know, it was a surprise, but it's kind of cool. So it's nice to be seen. It's nice to be.
Yeah.
I think, uh, I think my comment was it was nice to be perceived,
Yeah.
because so much of what I do and you, we are outside showing folks the way inside. We are out here teaching folks to get into the music uh, in some ways. I went. God, it was a few years ago. I went to IBMA in Raleigh, and before I got my foot on the sidewalk to get into the building, I had somebody come up to me. I think they were from Europe somewhere, maybe France, and I guess their words were, "You're the reason I'm here." And it's like, surely you didn't come just because you knew I was going to be here, because I made no announcement that I was going to be at IBMA in Raleigh. And they said, no, you're the reason I learned to play, and I play now, and I travel with a group, and we're playing here at IBMA. And they had learned to play from my videos. And it's like, oh, well, that's kind of neat. So,
Yeah, that's
yeah,
truly awesome. Yeah. I think
yeah,
that puts it in context as well, doesn't it? That the
yeah.
value that that you hold in the banjo world, and how people picking up the instrument feel that you've sort of made this something that they can do as well. And I don't think that should be undervalued. I think it's something that is held highly in regard as well. So thank you for doing that for
Well, I mean, well, but you're doing something similar, uh, and but in a lot of ways, back to what I was saying, we do kind of stand outside this thing and direct people into it. And so to be perceived by the folks that are already inside, that's that's kind of so so now I feel like at least they know I'm out there showing folks how to find their way in, which is nice because so much of what we do is in silence, and there's not a lot of accolades or for for this sort of thing. There's not a whole lot of folks coming around patting you on the back saying, "Boy, you're doing a good job in the bluegrass world." Most folks don't even know I'm out there, or
and
it
when you're
feels like
recording
it.
the videos on your own as
Right?
well in the room. And
Yeah.
I believe, do you still use the little stick it notes
Yes,
with
I
the
do.
swipe? Yeah.
Yes, I because every video I make is for one person. I tell myself that all the time. It's like, hey y'all, Jim Pankey here, but when I'm doing the lesson, it's for you. It's for one person. It's the person that's watching it. And I try to remember that. I'm not teaching a class where I'm trying to talk to a lot of different people. I'm making a video for a person that might watch it. And yeah, I realize that there's going to be more than one person, but it's it's easy if I just one, it's easier as a performer to perform for one person than you know, however many thousand might watch a video. I mean, that might make me lock up.
Yeah.
It's like, oh gosh, how many people are going to watch this? How many views? And yeah, it's like no. But if I if I think I'm just showing I'm just like I say, just a guy showing another person how to play banjo, and so yeah, but still do the sticky note, and I try to do, and if folks are listening or watching that don't know what that is, I will take a little sticky note, put a little smiley face, draw a little face, and put it next to the camera. One, it serves two purposes. One, it reminds me that I'm talking to one person, and two, it reminds me where to look,
Yeah.
and not be looking over here when the camera's over here. It's like, because nothing's more off-putting than when you're not looking at the when you're not looking at the camera, and it works better that way.
Yeah, yeah. And does this bring a sort of a context of where you are now, like you say, how you're perceived compared to when you started on, like, was it the iPhone 5 or something that you started with, just on a tripod filming
Well,
a lesson?
yeah, so the iPhone 5 was actually sitting, so you are right now sitting on a like a Hamilton music stand, one of the big black like ones that you might have had in school. It's just one of the big black heavy duty music stands. And that's what I would prop my phone up on it. And and now I have a tripod, but I'm still using my phone. I still use my phone. Uh, I have I have tested other cameras and such, and the phone's so easy. It's just so easy, and it's low effort. Uh, and I have editing software, and truly, it's better than anything else that I have in my, convenient to use at the moment. Uh, but it's just, but now I have a big light that I didn't. I used to have to sit in front of the big window to get, and I do miss that. I don't have the big window anymore, and I do miss having that natural light, but and I have the big light and I have some small lights, and I could light up the back here if I wanted to. I could turn that some other color, uh, or I can make it look like I have Venetian blinds, open back here or whatever. But it's just, but I still, the object is to keep it simple. Uh, I have experiment, yeah, and there's a couple of videos that I've done where I do have two cameras set up. I did one where I was talking about my left hand, so you could watch it from the front, and I had a camera behind me where you could watch it from the back. And so I've done that, but that's right at the edge of how much effort that that one I'm willing to put into it, figure out how to do, because it's always an editing puzzle. And then I'm using the iMovie, so I'm limited with that as what's available, because I could spend for some other editing software, but iMovie does what I need it to do, and uh, I you know it's I have added microphones on for some things, and that's been helpful. But yeah, I don't know. It's nice just to have. I know when I go out to watch a video, if I want to learn something, which everybody goes to YouTube to learn things. If I want to learn something, I'm not necessarily interested in the production value of a video as I am the content in the
Mhm.
video. I need to be able to see what we're talking about. I need to be able to hear what we're talking about, and I need it to be genuine, honest, and real, and not feel like it's commercial
Yeah,
of
you
some,
can. People
yeah,
will focus on what you're saying, showing, doing, compared to being sort of bedazzled by,
sure.
lights and bells. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm not a camera nerd, and I'm not a lighting and nerd or any of that. So I appreciate all of that, and it's nice to watch a very well produced video. But for the most part, I just like when I go out looking for videos, I just need just a real video of somebody doing what they're doing. and I am content with that. I'm not going, well, this isn't shot in 4K. And it's like, well, I don't necessarily need 4K video. Most of the time I'm watching it on my phone. How
Yeah.
much do I need here? I'm not putting it on the big screen. Uh, so yeah, it's yeah, keeping it simple. I feel like it's important. I mean, that to me, that's what I like. And obviously, a lot of my viewers kind of like that as well.
Mhm. Um, I get moving on from that. I guess most of us do know you as the sort of the largest online, I guess, like purely banjo. Uh, I don't know if influencer feels the right word, but player, instructor, teacher. But
Google calls me an internet personality.
really, actually, I like that. That's suited, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
so,
personality is definitely the word. Yeah.
yeah, I'm
How do you
something.
take it?
I don't know. Uh, yeah, that's. I was amused when I first saw. You Google yourself, and it's like, oh yeah, I mean, it says I'm an internet personality. I guess that's good. Uh, but yeah, and still, I am still the largest banjo creator, at least subscription wise. Um, and so that's kind of a neat place to be. And I mean, they're like Banjo Ben. I mean, he's got not a whole lot more than I've got, and I'm catching him. I'm passing.
Yeah.
All right, Ben.
Yeah.
There's your
Friendly
challenge,
rivalry.
man. I'm
Yeah.
coming. I'm coming
Yeah.
for you.
Well, he's injured for a few weeks now, isn't he? So
That's
yeah,
right.
that's it. Get going. Yeah, but thinking away from the teaching aspect and the personality online sort of aspect, how did you get into the banjo yourself? You took your own journey.
Yeah. So it was 1977, latchkey kid. Mom and dad both worked. I come home from school, so that would have been the summer after my eighth grade year. Dad had a guitar and a mandolin, and so I started messing with the mandolin because it was small, seemed didn't seem very intimidating. Surely I could learn that, and so I messed with it some. uh, Could play some chords and sing some songs and just accompany myself. And then I started fooling with guitar. And then I discovered that mom had a banjo, and it was a banjo that had belonged to her mother, and neither mom nor her mom played the banjo, but they had this old banjo. I've got a video of it where I talk about it, but it's from turn of the previous century, and I had that and the Pete Seeger red book, which had some information. So figured out how to tune it, figured out how to play a couple simple rolls on it. And later that year, Dad got me a better banjo, which, was still, $150, what we call a fly swatter at this point. But it was just, it was better than what I had. And I was absolutely hooked. I could, so I spent that whole summer and that fall and just all of that winter and, that whole school year. Once school started back, I would come home and just play the banjo. That's all I wanted to do. And I would put on albums and try to figure out what was on the albums and just, you know, I was just obsessed with it. As the vernacular here was, I was eat up with it. That's all I wanted to do was just play banjo. And then we moved, changed schools. So this would have been like my 10th grade year, 10th, been a sophomore in high school. We moved, and I met another kid on the bus. Mark played guitar and was learning banjo a little bit, and so we became friends. And he decided that I needed to be in the FFA, which is the Future Farmers of America. It's agricultural, vocational ag club. And he said, because if you do that, this school, there's a tradition of having a string band. And so I thought, well, what do I do to be in the FFA? I mean, if I could figure out a way to play banjo at school, what a great thing. So I joined, I started taking some ag classes and joined the FFA, and we put together a little band. We had a little bluegrass band, and at that point there was no turning back. Was playing. We would play for civic organizations, for like the Lions Club and the Ruritan Civic, Civitan Club, whatever kind of little civic organizations was here in the county, and I just would we would go out and play for them for donations to help the FFA club. So we'd have money to do trips and for kids to have it's what they call a supervised agricultural experience. I I like one of the first things I got paid as a musician was a pig. I got a pig because of playing at one of the civic groups. And so that's how all of this got started. It was, I was a kid, home alone a lot, had time to sit and practice, was not particularly athletic, was not into much of anything other than once music came along, that was it. Prior to that, uh, at that age, I was into magic tricks and that sort of thing. I thought I'd, be the next, Harry Houdini or something. Or who was the big magician? Doug Henning was the big magician back then. I thought, maybe that would, and but once the music took off, that's kind of all I wanted to do. And once I started playing banjo, guitar and mandolin really took a back seat. I really didn't play those much at all. I currently have guitars and I have a mandolin somewhere. It's in here. Uh, but it's not, those definitely aren't the priority anymore. It's just mostly banjo and any sort of banjo, five string, any sort of five-string banjo. Let's just put it that way. Never really got in, never had opportunity to learn any of the four-string banjo stuff. I think I would enjoy it, but yeah, I've not explored that yet. Just something about the sound of it, and just that's kind of how I got started, I guess. Yeah. I mean, Dad played guitar, so Dad would have been like my first real bandmate, so to speak. We played a lot together, and we would go out and play at churches, family reunion, our own family stuff, and we just sit around and play, or we'd find other people to go play with, and we did a lot of that. And so, yeah. So Dad could, he was a good singer, and was a good rhythm guitar player. And so, but, you know, I didn't grow up in an environment where the whole family played music. Uh-oh, I lost an ear. I don't know how people keep these in their ears. Uh, but, but yeah, that's probably the not so short version of.
I like it, and I'm almost worried. What happened to the pig?
Well, so there's this is fun. I have a friend of mine, and she used to teach school at one elementary school, and they would have a career day every year, and I would go and be the musician for career day. If for nothing else, to show children what could happen to them if they don't study and learn their reading and be able to do math and such. You wind up being a banjo player. But here I am. And so I'm playing it was a very young group of kids. They were probably, it may have been kindergarten kids. I don't know. They were young. And they weren't interested in a career. They just wanted to hear me play. And it's like, well, let's sing a song. What do y'all know? And the teacher says, well, they know She'll Be Coming Around the Mountain. I'm thinking, great, I know this one. And I know all the hand movements. I know all the extra things to say. And it's like, so when you're doing, she'll be coming around the mountain when she comes. And then so she'll be driving six white horses when she comes, and we'd all, whoa back. And and then we got to the part where we'd kill the old red rooster when she comes, because that's part of the song. We kill the old red rooster when she comes. And I killed him with the biggest chop chop. I mean, chop chop, because that's what we did. And I looked down and I knew I'd made a mistake, because there's this beautiful little blonde haired girl, and she had blue eyes. I know they were blue because they were magnified by the tears in her eyes that we had killed this rooster in this song. And I'm like, oh no, we have to pivot. So I survived that. I hope she did. And later that day, I get an older group of children. So these are fifth graders. Now, fifth grade in the United States, those kids are like 11 years old. So they're not, you know, they're sharp. They're asking good questions. And one of the kids asked, uh, when you first started playing, from, as what did you get paid? And so I told them, played for civic groups. I got paid. The first thing I got paid was a pig. And that's cool. Well, they had more questions. The next question is, do you still have it? No, 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 I don't. Well, what happened to it? Hmm. Well, uh, I'm not one to lie to children. We ate it. You ate your piggy. It went from pig to piggy in like instantly. It's like, you ate your piggy? Like, yes, I did. And they were all aghast. They weren't traumatized like the small child, but they were aghast that I ate this pig. Obviously, I didn't learn the lesson that you can't kill the old red rooster. I should have came up with a story about the pig, but I didn't have one. So yeah, that's what happened to the pig. The pig became a consumable, and uh, yeah. Well, so the idea with the pig was, you get the pig, you have the pig bred, and then you have piglets, and the other kids in the FFA could get a piglet. So we have a pig chain, is what it was called, and that's what we did. And then once the pig was old enough to not, you know, you, what happens to pigs happens to pigs.
Yeah, okay, got you. Yes, yeah. Good
And
story
so,
though.
so, but yeah, that's the pig story. Yeah, and just the moral of the story is, you can't kill the old red rooster anymore. That's,
No, we'll leave the pig where he is. Yeah, yeah.
that's right.
The piggy. Yeah,
He's still
fantastic.
out in the pasture out
Yeah.
there.
So if we sort of move forward from that time, when did you start sort of, let's say in your adult life, start playing on stage and the journey that you took that way?
Oh gosh. So I I'm thinking back, if there was ever a time that I was not performing, I started playing on stage in high school with that group, and we traveled with that group a good bit. And then I went off to college. I went to the University of Georgia in Athens, Georgia, and I found musicians there to play with, and I played. We were playing frat parties and different things like that while I was in college. Uh, and then I had other. Dad, there may be a time or two through all of that where there was a gap where I was not in a band, but those gaps would be really small. I mean, there was a time, let's see, yeah, maybe a couple year period here and there, but for the most part, I have played in local groups pretty much since 1978 or 9. And
Wow.
it's, there's always been somebody, that needed a banjo player. And living, in North Georgia, Southeast Tennessee, this region, uh, there's a scene for it. My first girlfriend, she was in the band, and the high school band, and their band boosters, people that help raise money for them to have whatever they needed, they put on a fiddlers convention. It's not even it's probably about 7 or 8 miles from here, and uh, they put on a big fiddlers convention and contest, which would have been one of the first bluegrass type festivals that I ever went to. And uh, so it's that has always kind of been a thing in this area, is access to bluegrass music, and people would just throw. It's kind of at a point now. Uh, it has been. You could throw a band together pretty quickly, and there's there's definitely been no shortage of musicians that I've had access to. Uh, but yeah, all through college I played. Uh, Went back to grad school. Uh, played played the entirety of grad school with a friend of mine, fiddle player Andy Carlson. Andy and I, we had a regular every Sunday gig at a restaurant where he and I would do a duet thing, and then occasionally we could throw a band together and do an actual stage show. And so yeah, always had always had a band of some sort. Uh, or if it wasn't, where I was kind of an active deciding member in a group, I have played as sideman in, I played in a Southern gospel group for a while. I played in a country group for a while. I played in a Rolling Stones cover band for a while, not banjo. Uh, played guitar in that one, but it was, yeah, there, there's not been a lot of moments where I was not uh, wrangled into being a band member. This year I've added with August with the Barefoot and Alley. We've done, we've got several dates on the calendar with her, and it's just, it's always there's always a band that's kind of been part of my experience at this point.
Fantastic, yeah. And I guess as a hopeful segue in that case, would you mind playing a song for us that was something that was really, I don't know, like a memory for you from these sort of early stage days or something from now?
Oh gosh, let's see. Let's see if I know anything. There you go, mistakes and all.
Ah, wonderful. I'll take those mistakes any day.
Yeah, you just have to laugh at them. There's when we did the Hamilton County Ramblers album, and I'll send you a link for that. When we did that, Brent Truitt, Steel Drivers, Brent's played with everybody. He was our co-producer on that, and we recorded in the studio. And you know, going back in to fix banjo parts or add banjo parts. And he's like, well, you want to take another run at that? I said, Brent, I can do another run at it, but it's just going to have a mistake in a different spot. You never know where they're going to be. He said, well, maybe we can piece something together. It's like, okay, whatever.
Yeah, I remember hearing once that the joy of the banjo is you threw your mistake onto the next note very quickly, so it's not too bad.
This is true. This is true. This is true. It's like, well, and sometimes I would go back, and it's like on that recording session for sure is I would make a mental note and say, okay, in that B part I screwed this up, and I get Brent to play it back, to punch in or to fix it, and it's like, okay, I don't even hear it now. So whatever I did, well, it's now a lick. I thought it was a mistake, but obviously it was a good mistake. It was one of those things, maybe I didn't mean to do that, but now it's like, okay, that actually turned out all right.
The happy accidents, yeah.
That's right. I'll take them.
Absolutely. So actually thinking about the sort of the mistakes part, one thing I'll say to my students is about playing through your mistakes and making sure you do keep playing rather than having them stop you at one point, so that you can really try and get the flow and the melody of where you're going. So how do you find that? And is that something you sort of approach that way?
Oh, absolutely. I'm old enough to remember the American Bandstand. It was a TV show that played pop music and had kids on there dancing, and Dick Clark was the MC on that show, and they'd introduce a new song, and everybody, then he'd have two kids come up and give it a point, give it a score, and it's like you would hear him say sometimes, it's like, well, Dick, it had a pretty good beat and you could dance to it. We'll give it a 75. And I'm thinking, that's the whole point. It's just like and I tell students all the time, is you can play a world of wrong notes. You can play nothing but wrong notes. And as long as you are in time, people are going to be fine. It's going to be fine, because the only real mistake is, or I wouldn't even say timing mistakes. I would say the mistakes are the ones when you try to go back and fix stuff, or when you just stop, or because even a timing mistake, if you are persistent, you can make it come back around to where it needs to be. And so, yeah, you just play the mistake, make a mental note, say, oh yeah, I screwed that up. So next time that comes around, because it's coming back, maybe I'll try something different there. Maybe, and especially like in a jam session, maybe it's a song that I've never played before. It's like, okay, I missed that. Next time it comes around, I'm going to try something. I may not even know what it is. And it's like, I know what I just played was wrong. I don't know what I'm supposed to play there, but when that comes back around, I'm going to try this and see if that's it. And you just play through it, and you can't stop, because that's a train wreck. You want that music just to keep moving, and eventually, you figure it out. And there's definitely a certain amount of reinforcement that one gets from getting it right. Whereas, and getting it, but there's also reinforcement that you get from getting it wrong. The things I remember most from school were the times that I popped the hand up that I knew the answer and I got the answer wrong and the teacher corrected me. I remember all of that. Those are things that I won't ever forget, because negative reinforcement is still reinforcement. And same thing with banjo. It's like, it's like we did a show just recently with August Barefoot Nelly, and and with this group, there's new music that I have not played before, and we've had some rehearsals, not a lot, and there were a couple of things that I missed simply because, well, one, I hadn't practiced them enough. Two, I hadn't practiced on my own enough. And I cocky thought, oh, we'll do just fine. I will get them right next time because I missed a couple of cues in the. Fortunately we were playing for a party, so it didn't really matter that much, but it mattered to me. I thought, well, it would be nice to have nailed those just for my own benefit. And I don't think anybody really cared, but that's how we learn. And I think, so many adults have this desire to, they don't want to do it wrong. And it's like, shoot, you got to do this stuff wrong, or you won't ever, you never learn it if you don't do it wrong at some point.
So true.
I posted a little meme on my Facebook page a while back, and it's like, and just to paraphrase, it's like, first make it. We can make it good later. Let's just make it happen, and then we'll worry about making it good later. And that's, I don't know, maybe I'll live my life that way. Let's just do a thing and see what happens, and then if we can improve it, then we'll improve it down the road. But
Perfect.
I mean, we just make it happen. So I totally agree with you on that. It's just you just keep on trucking. Don't worry about the mistakes. Those are in the past. We make mistakes as humans in our lives, and when people bring those things up, it annoys us. We say, hey, that's in the past. Let's leave that back there. Same with music, don't beat yourself up over it. Like if you've got a friend, and then they're going through something and they just beat themselves up over a mistake that they made. What we tell them, hey, dude, that's in the past. We'll let that go. We're going to go forward from here, and that's fine. Or if you've had an argument with a friend, same thing. Hey, that was in the past. We're not going to worry about that. We're still friends. We're good. We're just going to keep on trucking. And that's the way we should play music too.
Amazing. I think that's wonderful advice and approach in each direction. So maybe mentor is the right word for you right now. Excellent. So just thinking very quickly again about the, like these sort of happy mistakes, and then you listen back and you think, oh, actually, that was pretty cool. What did I do? Have you ever reverse engineered thing that could become like part of the Jim Pankey, style or approach?
Oh, so many. It's just about anything that is a Jim Pankeyism, any of this stuff that I do that I feel like is genuinely mine. Just about all of that was born out of a mistake of some sort, or born out of trying to do one thing and it became another, or trying to hear something off of a recording and just having to make something up, and I know it's not right, but it's good enough, and then those things become part of my vocabulary. And there's a lot of things that I have found purely by accident, and it's like, okay, that's a cool idea. Let's see if I can do it again. And I've done that with recordings too. It's like, ooh, what was that? And it's like, that's kind of neat. Well, what the heck did I just do? And go back and try to add that to my, the way I play. Because they're sometimes when you're playing, you realize that you have got yourself into a spot that's not exactly what you wanted, and you just have to make something happen to fix it. And sometimes those are pleasant. Not always, but sometimes they're pretty nice.
Yeah. Thinking about mistakes that you kind of see that when people are developing their own play, are there any bits that you kind of notice that are happening more often than not, some natural pitfalls that people are making?
Well, yeah. The big mistakes that I see, how do I explain it? one, they manifest as timing issues, is what they manifest as. I hear them as timing issues because because the mistake goes back to them trying to tackle something that they're not ready for yet. And so it manifests as a timing glitch, and I don't mean that they've added the beat or subtracted the beat or anything like that. It's just herky jerky in some way that it's not smooth. And it's like, well, it's because you're playing something that's uncomfortable, and it's going to take you a really long time to be comfortable with that. So maybe if you domed it down just a little bit, or and I'm not saying, maybe that's a bad way to put it, but maybe simplify it in some way, or maybe, just maybe, ask yourself, well, that's a little weird. What would I do there instead? What would I do that's comfortable instead of that lick? And it's so that's kind of a multifold mistake. The first mistake is a student will hear a piece of music and think, man, that's so cool, I want to play that. And then they go out and find a tab for it, and they're just not ready for it yet. This was years ago, but had a fellow online that was bound and dang determined that he was not, he couldn't play any basic, he couldn't play Cripple Creek, Boiling Cabbage Down, Banjo and the Holly. He couldn't do any of those, but he was bound and determined that he was going to learn Alan Mundy's Peaches and Cream, because he was for sure that if he could learn that, then he'd be able to play anything else. And I'm like, man, you can't reverse engineer learning to play. It's like you could take someone that didn't speak English and have them be able to memorize large passages from War and Peace, but it doesn't mean they're going to be able to speak English because of that. And so I think that's the big mistake that I see a lot of people make, is timing issues that manifest because they've bitten off more than they can chew at the moment. And I would say, there's probably technique mistakes, but those vary from person to person so much that not everybody's, holding their banjo weird, or holding their hand odd, or putting their picks on upside down, that sort of thing. But so yeah, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. Is there any sort of beginner's tune that you always use that you wouldn't mind giving us a sort of a display of that you think is one that's a handy one to be in people's hands? Yeah.
So I always teach Cripple Creek. And I teach it fairly simple. So I start with just teaching just the basic rhythm or pinch pattern. It's just 3 pinch. Being able to do that. If I get a student that can play that pattern, and then we'll learn alternating roll. Then we'll learn to do a slide and a hammer. And now we can play Cripple Creek, or at least the A part. So we'll start with a slide, and then we're going to do that alternating roll open, then that slide, then we're going to do a 4 pinch, and then a slide, open, and then our hammer on, and then a 3 pinch, and that sounds like. And I bust that up over a couple of different lessons, so it's not, I wouldn't send somebody home with that today. I would send them home with just that right hand roll and the pinch pattern and the alternating roll. And so go practice that, and literally go do that for a week. That's all I want you to do. Put your left hand in your pocket. You don't need it. You're just going to do that roll. And then when you come back, I'm going to show you something to do with your left hand. And I'll show them a slide. I'll show them that slide and the hammer on. And we can usually cover that in a lesson. And then, lesson 3, we've got Cripple Creek, or at least the A part. And so that's what I start with. And that's kind of, and I do that because that's what I learned when I was starting to play. That was what I figured out. And it was just simple enough. And for me, I knew the song, so I could sing it. Going up Cripple Creek, going in a run, going up Cripple Creek to have a little fun. And I'm old enough to remember that from Hee Haw. So for me, in the 70s, that was a song I was hearing pretty regular. So it wasn't, a stretch. So I still use that. Some students I'll start maybe with Boiling Cabbage Down, but for the most part, it's we're doing Cripple Creek for our first lessons, which is and then the high part, it's definitely a little more difficult. Then I'll teach them a forward roll. And then they learn a C chord. And that's like the first chord you learn, well, other than your open G. And then we just build that all together. And I just feel like having that set of skills allows you to start understanding how tunes work. And I don't do anything, I don't show any of my students tab until much later. I just rather them not even worry about tablature. We're just doing things. We're not worried about the notes. Well, if I hit a wrong note, it's fine.
Play the music as you hear.
Just play whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, if you miss, if you hammer when you should have slid, if you slide when you should have hammered, nobody cares. It doesn't make any difference. Yeah. And I often demo that by just saying, what if we were to sing it, and what if we were to slide every time? Going up a Cripple Creek, going in a run, going up a Cripple Creek to have a little fun. It's fine.
It works.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Nobody cares. And if if you're playing with your buddies, then they're going to think that you're just, he's improvising over there.
I hope you're enjoying the conversation with Jim Pankey so far. I know I had a great time. And if you are enjoying that conversation and you want to help support the Happy Picking podcast to keep bringing you more and more content that you like, head over to the Patreon page or the Ko-Fi page, which are listed in the descriptions below. And over here, for the price of a cup of coffee per month, you can help support the Happy Picking podcast and Sheffield Banjo lessons to keep bringing you all these podcasts and instructional videos from the YouTube page and the Patreon page. Now, whilst you're there, if you want to, you can also sponsor an episode. And if you sponsor an episode, I'll give you a call out on the next podcast, and I will be forever grateful for you to help keep all this going. So, without further ado, let's get back to Jim.
So, talking about biting off more than you can chew, and those things manifesting themselves as timing issues. So, our guitar player in the new group that I'm playing with, Eli, he pitched out this idea of a song by the Gatlin Brothers. It's I can't even remember the name. Whatever. But anyway, the tune has a banjo kickoff, and I can play it slowly. Well, can I? So it has a little triplet thing in it, and like if I put the metronome on, I can keep it in time. But it's herky-jerky. It's not smooth yet. And I'm playing along, I transcribed it out, I stuck it in tablet, and I can fire up tab, let it do its thing, and play along with it, but it still doesn't feel right. And when I go back and listen, so I'll record myself, and when I listen to myself, well, I don't even have to listen to the recording of myself. I can listen to myself play it, and I hear all of the herky jerky, nothing is exactly where it's supposed to be yet. Parts of it are fine. All of that's fine because that's normal. All of that's fine. But what do I, getting out of those triplets back into straight eighth notes, for me, I just kid and say it's above my pay grade. And it's just, but I hear that in other people too when they're learning new pieces or trying to memorize maybe J.D. Crow's break to a tune. It's like, yeah, maybe just play it like you would play it and don't play it like JD. So anyway, that's a fine example of, how timing, that timing problem can manifest when you're into something that one is not comfortable yet, or maybe too difficult. And I haven't decided if it's just not comfortable or maybe it's too difficult. I'll let you know.
It's so tricky, isn't it? I've said this before about the banjo almost suffering from seeing what the completed versions of your favorite pickers are, and
Right.
not the entry point feels sort of, how do I get there? Whereas on guitars, we know about 3 chords and the truth, don't we? So
Sure.
It feels that's an easier way in, and it's hard for people to sort of take the time and not, run before you can walk, isn't it, with these aspects?
Yeah, you really can't, yeah. So you want to, so that's Bela plays that's him on that recording playing that, and it's like, well, okay, that's Bela, but it's also not modern day Bela. That's, from 30, 40 years ago Bela, but even 40 years ago Bela was absolutely amazing. And so, yeah, it's just figuring those things out, and you don't get to you don't get the progression of it unless you start kind of at the beginning and add the pieces as he went to get there. And I'll say this quickly, I beginning of last year, I think I started an account on Xiaohongshu, which is Little Red Book. It's just a Chinese social media. And one of the things that I learned is, like, was it in the 90s, I think, that China got access to all the Western music? They got it all at once. So for them, they were getting, Miles Davis along with the Beach Boys, along with Kiss, and along with all of these other, the Beatles came the same time as the Kingston Trio did. And so they didn't get this progression of how the music grew. They just got it all at once. And for folks that's coming new to bluegrass, new to the banjo, that's something, for somebody new to it, you get Earl Scruggs along with Noam Pikelny. I started early enough that I started right at the tail end of the whole melodic era, and all of the fancy chromatic licks, like folks like Jack Hicks and those players. And it's just, but I still, it's hard to tell folks, but the thing of it is you don't have Noam, you don't have Bailey, you don't have Scott Vestal without their foundation where they all started, learning bluegrass music and learning from, learning the Earl Scruggs albums, learning the Don Reno stuff and all of those things. They have all of that foundational stuff that allows them to do what they do. And so many new players, they will hear somebody like Noam and it's like, yeah, obviously you like that. We all like that. But that's a heck of a place to try to start. You know, it would be nice to have, like if you were a classical guitarist, you're not going to start out playing, you know, complex Fernando Sor pieces. You're going to be playing his simple etudes to begin with, and kind of have to do that with banjo as well. But boy, it's hard because we don't have a strict teacher, forcing us into to do certain things. There's nothing stopping us from going out and listening to Scott Vestal play, or Tony Ray, or whoever. There's so many great players. Anyway, yeah,
absolutely.
For that.
And I think it's still incredibly interesting thinking about predating that, and Gus Cannon and the old jug bands with the kazoo solos, but then some of the blues techniques that they're doing that approximate the slide guitar that then you're hearing in Frank Evans' Fit for a Dog this year, that like a modern album with these old stylings in, and they still carry to this day, don't they?
Oh, absolutely. And so all of that, it's important to understand where a lot of these techniques came from. It's one of the reasons Earl is so important. I mean, it creates such a foundation. And even Bela, back in the 70s, he moved to Kentucky or somewhere and played with Spectrum, and was studying those guys and figuring out what bluegrass sounded like, so he could play bluegrass. It's important.
Fantastic. Yeah. So when we're thinking about this, playing bluegrass, and we spoke about the teaching and different ways that people can sort of approach it and things to look out for, shall we bring this round to what's coming up later on this month?
Yeah.
So, would you like to give us some information about your upcoming trip to the UK?
So everything with me is a story. I was at IBMA last year in Chattanooga, and I was standing in the lobby, and I had three gentlemen come up to me with very Scouse accents, and it's like, you guys are not from Chattanooga. I just know. It's like, and it was another situation where they were there because of me. They had used my videos to learn to play, and they were playing music, and they got a little bluegrass club at the pub that they all hang out at. And so we got to talking, they just hanging out and stayed in touch. And then the next thing I know, there's like, maybe we could have you come over and do a workshop. I said, if we can make that happen, that would be, I would love that. I've never been to Liverpool. I think that would be great. Let's figure it out. And next thing I know, it was figured out. So I will be doing a workshop in Liverpool. Let me get some information. You'd think that I would be able to pull that right up, but I if I didn't have a calendar,
I'll help you out if you want. It's on Saturday the 22nd and Sunday the 23rd of August.
23rd, right?
Yeah. At the Holiday Inn in the city centre of Liverpool.
City centre of Liverpool, and we're just going to cover. People ask, "What are you going to do in your workshop?" Well, it depends. It's like depends on who's at my workshop. Does everybody there already play? All right, good. Then we'll learn a couple of tunes. We'll learn some techniques. We'll learn some licks. Does everybody, how beginner are we? So all of that just kind of depends. I would like to focus on some backup ideas and some backup technique, and that's something I can do with any level of player for the most part. And I'd like to just dive into ideas that I use to play a tune today that I've never played before. How do I survive this in the jam session? So those types of things I would like to cover, and it's just any of the workshops that I've done, and even in the long, like I did Steve Kaufman's acoustic camp, and it was a week long, but I like to think that my classes and my workshops are fairly laid back. We're able to do whatever we need to do. I can pivot. We can do things that benefits everybody. And while I will have a general idea of what I would like to cover, it again, it all kind of depends on what my audience is. You know, what the students I have are there. You know, if you know, like everybody says, hey, you know, explain that circle of fifths. I'm like, oh gosh, do we really have to do that? Okay, if everybody's interested, we can run that rabbit hole. We can do all of that. But would you like to learn a tune? You know, or would you like to explore the difference between the way Earl Scruggs might play Cripple Creek as opposed to what Ralph Stanley might play for Cripple Creek? We can, you know, it's just, it's so it's kind of open. It's kind of open, and say, I typically go into a workshop with the idea of, you know, let's talk about practice. Let's talk about, you know, what we're doing with our time, things that we need to be working on. Let's talk about backup, because good 85% of what I do in real life is backup, maybe more, depending on size of the band. Yeah. And so I do a great deal of backup, and what is appropriate backup. We'll talk about that. I play with Lou Wamp. We do Wichita lineman. It's like, and we do not do the hot rise version of Wichita lineman. It's more like what Glenn Campbell did. So it's more laid back, a slow pace. It's like, oh, what do I do with banjo on that? There's not a banjo part there. There's not a banjo part on that one. And so my backup is literally that. I back up. I back up away from the microphone, and I stand, you know, I will make this kind of noise. You know? I just make noise in the wire. You know?
Yeah. The old recordings in there. Yeah, you feel like you're listening back to the old vinyl.
That's what I do. It's just like my job is to back up. And I had a local kid here, Matthew Milligan, amazing banjo player. I have had the distinct honor of hearing him go from just absolutely beginner to fantastic player. And he watched, I played at a festival in Chattanooga a couple years ago, and he took video of me, and I'm standing there, you know, on stage. And he's like, he sent it to me later that evening. He said, "What are you doing?" I said, "Well, banjo was a little nervous, so I was petting on it a little bit. You know, you got to keep it calm. You know, it's." And I just explained to him, I said, I have no banjo part for that, because it's. I can't add anything to it, so I thought, well, I just won't play banjo at all on that one, and I just basically just stand around and need to be doing something. But sometimes the best backup is no backup, and so I like to talk about things like that in the workshop, where, you know, there's just you know, being appropriate backup, simple backup, because
knowing when not to play.
When not to play, and when to play the fancy lick, which is almost never. You know, just play the simple stuff. It's not your turn. You know, sit back and just let the mandolin player do their thing. You know, and talk
take
about
a breath.
You don't have to play all the time. And figuring that out, and it's just so I talk about things like that, and how to develop a break, and a lot of, you know, obviously, as you've learned through the process of this podcast, I like to talk, and I have ideas, and I have thoughts that I like to share, and I do a lot of that, but we'll also, I hope to figure out a song or two in the process. So, you know, hopefully get a chance to play some tunes. in the workshop, just as a big mass of banjo players, which is always incredible.
Yeah.
It's loud. It's great.
Yeah. I wonder what the rest of the hotel will be thinking to that.
You know, that it'd be they get used to it.
It'll be good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic. That sounds like it's a really nice and open way that this can go then. And like you say, being able to just see who's around, what they know, what they'd like to do, and being able to just develop people as the musicians that they are and where to sort of grow themselves, it seems.
Right.
That's awesome.
Because every workshop that I do that's like an open workshop where nobody is kind of grading themselves as to what level they are, you know, I fully expect to have folks that bought a banjo last week, and then folks that bought a banjo 20 years ago, and so I'm going to have every a wide variety of folks there, and trying to appeal to a large audience, and the other thing is I play multiple styles, and so we can talk about different styles as well, and that happens from time to time in workshops. I'll have people ask, and it's like, oh, who here plays clawhammer? And it's like, one or two. Who wants to play clawhammer? And there's more hands go up. I said, well, here, let me just show you the very most basic thing that you need to go home and practice, because you're not going to learn clawhammer today, but go practice this for about a month. See if you can make that happen. And
drop the little nuggets for people to start with. Yeah.
Sure.
Excellent. And do you want to say how people can buy the tickets, or shall I drop a link in underneath?
Yeah, if you can put a link there, I think there is a link. Let's see. You can find it on my Facebook page.
If it's the same one, I have www.bit.ly/Pankey26, where you can get your tickets.
Yes, bit.ly/Pankey26. And that'll take you to a place where you can get tickets. And Chris, Sean, is handling all of that. And
I think you can get them on the Eventbrite website as well, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah,
so I'll put both links in the description and put them up on the screen as well, so people can see.
That's the easy way. And
Fantastic. And I guess then leading to the next part, do you have time off to do a bit of sightseeing? And have you got anything on your agenda whilst you're over?
Well, I'm going to be there for a minute, so I hope to see a little bit of Liverpool while I'm there. I don't know what else I can get. I don't know where else I can go to, but I'll be flying into Manchester, and say I have a week to discover what I can while I'm there.
Fantastic. There's trains to Edinburgh, trains to London, as far as I'm aware. So there's a lot you'll be able to see, and maybe see the Chatsworth that we have in this country too.
That would be interesting. I could take pictures back and say, hey, this is what it was supposed to be.
Yeah.
So we have Chatsworth, okay? We have Eton too. We have, of course, it's not Eton. Folks here call it Eton, but Eton, and both were named because some more lofty, educated folks in the area wanted it to sound fancy. So both Chatsworth and Eton were named after Chatsworth and Eton, and I think it's kind of interesting. Yeah, I definitely need to visit Chatsworth.
Fantastic.
So that was the conversation with the wonderful Jim Pankey, and I hope you enjoyed it today too. Remember, if you're in the UK and you want to think about heading to these workshops, all of the details are going to be listed below, and they're going to be in Liverpool on the 22nd and 23rd of August, and they're going to be definitely worth checking out if you're around at that point. Now, if you want to then carry on and follow more of these future episodes of the Happy Picking podcast, remember to hit that follow button. Remember to hit that subscribe button on the YouTube page. And if you can support the channel, please remember to head over to the Patreon page or the Ko-Fi page where you can sponsor an episode, or for the price of a cup of coffee per month, you can help support the channel and keep all of the Banjo content coming directly to you. So, if there's anything that you would like to hear in a future episode of this, please give me a shout. And besides that, I will see you next time on Happy Picking.
Definitely need to visit Chatsworth.
Fantastic.